All right, this is a Coleman 413G stove. So we're going to use two methods where we can use the stove. We're going to use the method for starting up with a regular tank, but I'm going to put that off to the side for a second because I want to show you a nice convenient way. These can be bought. They're propane adapters. They're made by Stanport, Mr. Heater, and there's several other makes. So anyway, these serve as the same thing as the generator on the tank. Basically what you do is you get a 1 pound tank, okay, and if you can see here, there's a little neoprene gasket down at the bottom here, and you would actually insert that into the little pin just like this, okay, just like this, and you would twist it on. This is per pound cylinder, 1 pound cylinder, and then you would make sure it's off, turn to off here. You would insert it through this little hole here, and you would slide it in as much as can possibly go in. Some of them go a little deeper, some a little less. And this little spring here, you will attach to the frame here, just like this. Okay, it helps hold it in place. Some people bring this forward and they have the tank holding, up and down like this. I'm not a big fan of that because when this thing, over a period of time, it heats up. Naturally, metal tends to slowly, over a period of time, it may be months, years, it tends to give, and so that little generator can start warping some. So I prefer to have it resting just like this off to the side, whether it's flipped this way or to the side this way. This is a 2 burner stove. It can be used for the 3 burner. It can be used for the 425. It can be used for the 426. This is a 413. And so anyway, we're gonna. This is a lot quicker, a lot more convenient. This can be used just like any propane stove. It's much easier to light. That means the propane's already vaporized. So getting this lit is much quicker. So I'm going to try to bring this in if I can, so we can get a little bit better visualization. Pardon, it's just me, so pardon the the adjustments here. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and turn on ignite my ignition source like this, and then I'm going to turn the gas vapors on. There we go. Now you have to remember, you can crank out a lot more heat than the other the fuel tank. So you don't want to overdo it. You want to turn just the amount that you need. There are some people who will crank those up and say, I can give whatever 5 million BTUs. Doesn't matter. You need to run these safely. You can warp this great if it's really high. You can also, the heat from here and here, you've seen a lot of people where they have burns all up along here as well. Now this I got about a year ago from somebody, and it looks like they kept it up relatively decent. I mean, it shows some wear and tear over, about 4 decades. That's actually pretty good. These are the little wind flaps here, and they normally rest inside here, but you can fan those out so it can protect the flame, and they're wind guards. And so those help a lot while you're cooking. And then so you can easily cook something here on the main burner. Now just realize with the main burner, this is where you're primarily getting your source of gas, through here. So this other burner that's off to the left here, okay, it has to be ignited by opening a little valve off to the side here. Okay, there's a little valve off to the side, and so you would turn that counterclockwise and you'd open it up, and then you can light this. I don't know if you can see it very well, but there is a flame here, and it's burning cleanly, and it's during daytime, it's hard to see. So you may have to adjust. If you have something on the primary burner, you may have to adjust once you open that secondary burner, and give extra propane to that main burner. And so because it is actually diverting some of the gas to the secondary burner. You cannot operate these independently. The main burner always has to be functioning in order for the secondary burner to be going. Just to let you know. So if you turn up, you want more heat on the secondary burner, it will lower the amount of gas going to the primary burner. So just remember, you increase the amount of flow and heat going to the secondary burner, you have to increase the amount of gas going to the primary burner. Now just remember too, also, if you lower or you turn off the secondary burner, okay, all of a sudden you will now have increased gas flow to the primary burner. So if you have something that's cooking on there, you will have to remember, you will have to adjust the primary burner based upon the needs of either greater heat on the primary, if you need to heat something up quicker, or if you're having to adjust it for the secondary burner, okay? That a lot of people don't realize that, but if it's very easy to get acclimated to adjusting both back and forth. Just takes a little time. So and with this, it's convenient about it. All you have to do is turn it off. It immediately turns off, and then you're good to go. It's completely turned off. Now, I will tell you, this is hot, so you will want to wait until it's cool to handle it. We're going to take this and we're going to put it off to the side, okay, and we're going to let it cool. Alrighty, so we're going to use the original method for lighting this stove. Okay, make sure I have everything in here. All right, so I'm going to put this on. So once you make sure you have again, this fuel tank is the same thing as the font on the lantern. You want to make sure you have a good gasket. There's no leaking from here. You only want to fill it flat like this, and you want to fill it up to at the base right here. You don't want to overfill it because it has very similar properties as the fuel font of the lantern. A little bit difference in lighting and how it works. This does have a fuel pickup tube, but it doesn't have the same type of fuel pickup as the lantern. It's a little bit different, and we'll explain in just a little bit. But the pumping up the air with the fuel pump rod is the same as it is with the font over there. So I'm not going to re-explain that because I mean that's already been previously explained. So this right here, this is the generator. This will take fuel, and as it's heated, will vaporize it. And inside here, it goes into the manifold, and and then goes into a tube in the back here, like a Bunsen. And so, just like the lantern, we're going to vaporize the Coleman fuel, the white gas, whatever. And so, once you place it in, you're going to slide it all the way in here as far as you can, and you're going to place these little 2 tabs in each one of these holes. Okay, this is how it rests, and it's going to be inside here. You're going to make this. This is going to be turned all the way to the right, and it's going to be off. This little lever, they have a little needle that goes down to the fuel tube, and what it does is when it's facing up, it allows some air to go through here with a little bit of fuel. Okay. And this, but this does not control the cleaning needle. This actually, once it's closed, the cleaning needle, this right here has a cleaning needle that's kind of poking out the end when it's closed. It helps clean the generator tip. So that's a little bit different, like on the lantern. But once this is closed, the fuel tip is inside the little orifice, and it shuts off the fuel completely coming from the tank. So this is completely off. This little fuel lever is up. When that little fuel lever is up, it prevents just a whole bulk of raw fuel from coming through and just spewing through here. It only allows a small amount of fuel and air to go through here, so it can light it easily and it can heat up the generator. Usually after about 30 seconds to a minute, probably about a minute or a little bit longer, especially if it's really cold outside, then you will have to let it run for that long. A lot of times people, usually you get big flare-ups or orange flames, because what happens is they're just too impatient and they quickly flip it down, okay? So what we're going to do is, this is off, the fuel cap's on, we're going to go ahead and pump it up, and this, we're going to pump it up anywhere from 30 to 40 times, maybe even to 50. It's not filled up all the way. I'm going to do a little bit of cooking. I'm making a gumbo. I stopped the gumbo in the middle of this process so I could shoot this video for my nephew. And so you can tell when you're getting close to the end, because then it gets a little bit more difficult to push the pump rod, okay? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and quickly close it. That shuts off the little rod, and it shuts off the check valve completely. And so now we're ready to light. So we're going to go ahead and get a match. Now this is a little bit different. This is, you're not going to turn a quarter of a turn. You're going to slowly turn until fuel and air is going through, and this actually ignites. So you just slowly turn it. So you light, or you use a match, you light it just like this, and you turn. You're going to hear air. You might start hearing a little a fuel sputter, and so once it gets across, it'll light. There you go. You turn it back just a little bit, okay? And so what we're doing is we're giving it time for it to heat up the generator. It will have a bit of an orange flame because it is air and fuel mixed together coming from down below. When that generator is completely hot, it's going to vapor the gas and fuel, the fuel that goes through there is going to vaporize it much more efficiently, and you'll have a nice blue flame. So we'll give it a little bit of time. So when we pumped it up, we actually used some of the air that was in here. So we want to repressurize it a little bit, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There you go. As you can see, it's well heated. That's a blue flame. It looks like a tiny flame, but that's actually quite of a hot flame. It's kind of daylight, so you really can't see how much it's burning. And so I'm going to see if I can kind of zoom in a little bit there. You may be able to see the flames. Back up a little bit. Alrighty. And so now I'm going to turn down this little lever. So we're going to switch from air and fuel now to just raw fuel coming up here and going across. It'll probably take about 10 to 15 seconds at the very most for that transition to happen. And at that point, you can turn up this, and you can get quite a bit more heat. So a lot of times when you see it flare up really high, you have to be careful. You can over dial in and get way too much, okay? And so you just turn it down to what you need. Again, same thing as we did before. Remember, in the secondary burner, we would light this here, and we're going to turn this on, and the gas is going to be diverted to here. Okay, that's the second auxiliary burner is lit. And so if we were cooking something over here and we lit it, but we need to turn this up a little bit more, then we would turn it up, okay? And we would get more heat. All right. Now, if we finish cooking what we wanted to on the left, we would go ahead and turn this off. We would turn it clockwise to turn it off, shut it off, and then what happened is our flame or heat should get higher on there. So if it's too much, then we just turn it down. Okay. And this can actually be turned down to a nice simmer. Look at that. very, very low simmer. You could cook eggs, something very, very low. Or if you're cooking or you're boiling something, once you get it down to a nice boil or a stew, just slow bubbling, then you just turn it on to exactly what you need. Then that way you are able to conserve how much fuel you use, and then you can slowly cook something. Or if you need to boil a lot of water fast, then certainly you would turn it up. So just remember safety. Let me turn it up a little bit. I probably had it turned a little too low. So when you see something like this, you would need to add pressure. You use some of the air, and so there's a couple of times during cooking you will need to add more air to and pump it up. And by doing so, it provides more pressure and better fuel delivery. There you go. See, it went away. There you go. Now, if you have to do that a lot while you're cooking, that mean you may have a leak from your fuel cap, and you may need to change the gasket. Well, I'm going to turn this back up because I'm going to finish my gumbo. And I thank you for watching. Oh, and excuse me, at the end, you would just, like the lantern, you would just turn it off right here, and it may take a minute or two for it to shut down. Let it cool for about 15-20 minutes, and then you would release the cap, and then you would put down the lid and the flaps. If you do it too early, you can warp it and burn your lid and flaps. All right, thank you very much.